Okay, welcome to another episode of the Men Moving Forward podcast. I'm joined today by Kieron James. And Kieron, do you want to tell people about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Kieron James. I'm a CBT practitioner and I help men with anger issues.
So, tell us more about anger issues, Kieron. What got you into that, first of all? What got you into...
Well, my own personal experience of anger issues from my past, plus also the fact that, so many men are being accused of being abusive, angry, committing domestic abuse. And to me, it's a really important thing that men need to understand their anger and they need to recognise when they start getting angry to stop and to try and help themselves before it becomes too late and the police get involved. So I think it's really important. This is not covered in any sort of class. This is only a reactionary thing after the event. It's not done before the event, okay? And this is where the whole system fails men completely.
Does it not fail women too? Do women not have anger issues?
Women do have anger issues, but the whole system at the moment is based on the Duluth model that has come over from America. And it targets the men are the ones who usually 99% of the time commit domestic. Pardon?
Men are the abusers in that.
Yes. And well, sorry about that. And for me, it's like, well, actually, there needs to be some proactive approach to help men build better relationships and understand what the hell anger is.
Yeah, men, they get a bad rap, don't they? They, like you say, they're considered as the abusers and that they can't be abused. But
exactly, and there is still some form of institutional bias within the system. Yes, men are speaking out more, but there are still some of this institutional bias against men who speak out. And, you've got projects like the Freedom Programme. Okay. When I clicked on a sample of their course, the literature shocked me. And it was basically, you've got to take control of what's happened, etc., etc. And it was basically blaming men for the abuse that's happened to them. Hang about where how can men be, the perpetrators of their own abuse?
This is true, but as you were just saying to me, like, how can you move forward from a victim mentality?
Exactly, and within my course, it actually helps men to move forward from that victim mentality to one of, okay, I've got the tools and, I can now move forward and help, build better relationships, not only with potential partners, but with actually, children or loved ones, family. It doesn't just encompass the actual, relationship with your partner. It can help with other relationships as well.
And if someone is abusive, it's usually because the partner is a representation. In a man's case, the partner is most likely a representation of their mother, who was probably abusive to them.
Exactly, and at the end of the day, there has to be a recognition by men that, maybe the beliefs that they've been brought up with have actually transferred onto what they are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And with my 10-week course, it actually really challenges those beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I think I read somewhere recently that, you know, the relationship that you observe between your mother and father is going to be the relationship that you look to create, you know, in your own.
I just want to share something with you here. Okay, and this is my course structure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and in the very first week, it's that children see, children do.
Yeah.
Okay, because whatever you project
Mm-hmm.
onto your children, if there are children involved in the relationship, then they will pick up and they will see that as normal behaviour.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how relationships should be.
Yeah.
And this is where schools in particular are not tackling the issue on relationships.
Mm-hmm.
There should be something like this, a relationship, you know, half term of relationship education
Well,
instead of doing.
in my experience at school, you know, it seems to be that the child gets blamed. Like if the child's disruptive or misbehaves or whatever, they generally tend to get blamed for you know, for their behaviour, whereas the behaviour is actually probably coming from what they're observing at home.
During the course of my research, I've gotten into Erin Pizzey. She's the founder of. She was the founder of the Chiswick's Women's Refuge,
Mm-hmm.
and she said over half
Mm-hmm.
of the women that came in were just as violent as men, but the violence was not gendered; it was a generational issue.
Yeah, absolutely. But like attracts like, doesn't it?
Like does attract like, unless you recognise the signs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you learn to recognise the signs, if you learn to listen to your body and how it reacts,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because given any situation, there are three major things that happen: your thoughts on the situation, the emotions you feel,
Mm-hmm.
and then it is how your body reacts. Your fast heartbeat, your blood pressure raising, clenched fists, cold sweats, you know, tense muscles, that sick, knotty feeling in your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
People get to, you know, especially men, if they get to realise that, then they will, and they can actually stop the anger from exploding.
Mm-hmm.
And there are three types of communicators. You've got the ones who are out and out aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
who make the impulsive decisions to
Mm-hmm.
go smack someone up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you've got the passive aggressive, which are the ones that let it build up, don't say anything, try to say something, they get dismissed, it builds up more, and then one day something happens, straw that breaks the camel's back, bang, and then the anger explodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, they're very apologetic and go back into that passive aggressive stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then you've got the ones who are assertive communicators,
Mm-hmm.
who will listen, because communication is not just about speaking, it's about listening as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and about body language. So it'll be the ones that will be able to listen and to understand without prejudice. Okay, because you cannot fit your beliefs onto what someone is saying to you,
Mm-hmm.
or otherwise you will not get the information. okay? And the ones who can communicate specifically how they feel without doing any blaming. So instead of, you've made me feel like this, right? It can be, I feel like this because of what happened with.
Yeah. So there's a thing there about external things and how they make you feel. Like, would you say that blaming external things and events for how they make you feel is the part of the problem, or?
Right, and I've said this numerous times today already, but blaming someone for your anger, okay, is not the way forward. Your anger is your reaction to the situation. You have to be in total recognition of that.
What if there's an injustice, though? No, is it wrong to feel angry? Sometimes you need to feel angry to set boundaries and.
Okay, anger is a secondary emotion. Okay. The first primary emotion would be that initial gut feeling, whether it were, if you felt injustice and you feel sick to your stomach, you feel upset, fearful.
It would be fear, wouldn't it? Fear of loss.
Exactly.
Something.
But the anger is the secondary emotion, and that follows quite quickly. First, you blame yourself. How could this happen to me? Why did I let it happen? But then all of a sudden, you scramble to blame someone else. Okay? And that's where people fail in relationships. Okay? You need to take control of that anger, and you need to not show it in an aggressive manner, because of the fact that it will come back and hurt you. It's like drinking, anger can be equated to drinking a poison. Okay, you drink the poison, but you expect the other person, the person who done you wrong, to die.
But sometimes, you might find yourself in a toxic situation, and it's hard to let go of that anger because you want to react. You want to react appropriately to toxic behaviour.
There is a way of reacting to toxic behaviour. Okay. If it doesn't look right and it doesn't feel right, it isn't right. Why would you want to keep yourself in that situation? Okay. Yes, when you're in the early stages, your infantile stages, between the ages of 0 to about 7 or 8, okay, you're reliant on the caregiver if there's abuse. Okay.
When you're in those, this can manifest later in life. Like you say, that normalizes toxic situations for you. So you keep getting into them.
Well, like I said, the children see, children do. Okay. Especially in that early part, in the 0 to 7 stage. And I think that's when your brain, the plasticity of your brain, is actually at its highest, and you're like a sponge and you soak in that information. And that becomes your normal. You don't know any better as a child. And then you keep that in subconsciously.
Yeah.
And then you act it out later on in life because you think that is normal. So if you've been brought up in an aggressive household, of course that aggression will come to the fore.
Yeah.
If you've been, in a household where, you know, everything's all love and light, that's going to be good for you. Because you feel safe, and that's how you're going to react in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So, go back to your program again. Show us how you help people, you know, deal with the anger issues.
Right, so here we go. So first of all, you've got to understand anger first. And then there's the process of the general aggression model. Now, I've touched on this before on another podcast with you. Then we do the children see, children do bit, because that will reinforce the whole anger thing.
Yeah.
And then the first tool is learning how to put space in to calm down.
So what would you recommend people do in that?
Time out is an easy tool. You know, if things aren't, oh, excuse me, I'm just about to sneeze as well.
So what if, let's say, you know, because I know a common like place for anger is like road rage. What would you say?
Oh, okay. Number one, driving and anger do not mix. Okay. If you feel you get slighted and you start feeling rage, pull over immediately and calm the hell down. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be driving the rest of your journey in that aggressive state, in that heightened state.
Yeah. Okay.
If you've had an argument at home and you decide, right, I'm going to go out, I'm going to take a 5-10 minute, half an hour time out session. Do not get in the car. Yep. Just do not get in the car. Go out walking. Go down to the gym. Take that aggression out without driving. Because if you drive in that state, guess what? You're going to be a danger to other road users. Okay? Also, what I'd say is do not go drinking. Don't go down to the pub.
No.
Because that's one of the worst things. It will give you the false confidence and then you'll be more aggressive. Okay? But getting back to this, my course, it's 10 weeks, right? But it's 12 sessions. So 2 of the weeks, you have 2 sessions. Okay? The first one is all about understanding anger. The second one is about beliefs. About your learning history.
Yeah.
Then you get to understand about your physical arousal. About how your body reacts.
Yeah.
And ways to reduce them. Then about understanding your emotions and how they affect everyone around you.
Yeah.
Then you learn about attachment styles. Okay? Because it is actually very important. The attachment you have to your mother or father as caregivers will shine through in your relationships.
Yeah.
Then active listening, active communication. Okay? Conflict resolution. Major part in disagreements is conflict resolution. And how to plan, negotiate and action. Because if you can't negotiate with your loved one, if both of you've come from a different set of ideals, okay, the relationship isn't going to work. And then the language challenge, and it's basically changing your vocabulary to a non-aggressive vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the last week, we'll do the course roundup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now,
A comprehensive program.
it is a comprehensive program. There's a dual design to it. It is to help you understand anger, but also to help you build a better relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, yes, you can stop anger,
Mm-hmm.
but then you've got to learn how to have a better relationship.
Better relationship with your partner, or better relationships in general?
Better relationships in general. It's not just limited to a partner.
Mm-hmm.
It can be to a loved one. It could be to, kids,
Mm-hmm.
or just society in general, including your friends.
Mm-hmm. So do you find that there's many men, well, we know that it's quite common for men to suffer with anger, and you find that, tell us more about that.
Well, during my training, I was actually lucky enough to work with probation, and I spent time looking at how men are misunderstood sometimes. Okay, and there is still this notion that men have to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that phrase, but I have to use it. You're not allowed to show emotion.
Yeah, but if we, from a nature perspective, women are, from a reproduction perspective, it's the woman's job to be caring to the children and stuff, but she also wants to find the right, partner, the strong partner, and the partner who's going to be able to look after her and her kids, right? So
Okay, this is that.
that is a reproductive issue that men, that men are seen that way. That is because of reproduction. What would you say?
Right, I'm going to challenge that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Darwin's theory, the survival of the fittest,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about the survival of the fittest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not about strength.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not about sucking it up, keeping your emotions to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually about how you can adapt to a situation.
If someone's been parented properly in the first place, do you think they would find themselves in those situations then?
If they've been parented properly in the first place, there may not be any need for any form of anger because they will know how to communicate properly.
Mm-hmm.
They will know how to listen to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But it's when the parenting, and this is where Aaron Pizzi says it's a generational thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? When the parenting is not right, that's when the problems start.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And yes, there are some men out there who are just purely aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's wrong. Because if you try and dominate a situation, if you try and bully a situation,
Mm-hmm.
it's never ever going to be resolved.
No. No one likes a bully.
Nobody likes a bully at all. The whole thing with anger is people have this thing, right? As soon as there is some criticism about them,
Mm-hmm.
the shackles go up. Whoa, how about you having a go at me?
Mm-hmm.
I do not like this. I'm going to fight back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As humans, we do not like to hear criticism about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to grow,
Mm-hmm.
in order to get out of that comfort zone and learn, you have to hear where you could be potentially going wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's the thing. If you're not open to listening about your faults,
Mm-hmm.
the problem's never going to go away. And you're just going to keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So it's about breaking the cycle and changing that behaviour.
Exactly. You need, in order to get, in order for your life to improve, you need to break certain cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The repeating behaviour cycle, allegedly the quote comes from Einstein, but actually it's not from Einstein at all, as I found out the other day. Okay. But insanity is repeating the same thing, expecting different results.
Yeah.
You can repeat, but you're going to end up with the same result.
Yep.
I've done that. Don't get me wrong. I used to be a drinker. Okay. And I used to blame everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, well, actually, no, because I'm now contributing to it by blaming everyone else.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where I decided, right, I'm going to have to come off the drink.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And since I've come off the drink, my life has vastly improved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there have been little blips here and there. Don't get me wrong, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But it's learning to recognise those blips and to proactively do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So cool. So anything else you think people should know? Any like quick tips to deal with anger?
Quick tips. Breathing.
What, box breathing or 7-Eleven breathing? What kind of
Just deep breathing.
into the stomach?
Straight into the stomach. Push that belly out. Okay? Because that you get enough oxygen in there to calm you down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 3 seconds in through the nose, 3 seconds out through the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Repeat it until you're calm. If the situation still hasn't resolved itself and you're still feeling that, take a half an hour at least time out to calm down. Do not get in a car. Do not go down the pub or take any substances, because that's the worst thing you can do ever.
Yeah. Absolutely. Excellent. Right, where can people find you, Kieron?
Right, people can find me on Facebook, Own It, Live It,
Mm-hmm.
Own it-Live It,
Mm-hmm.
or they can go on to ownitliveit.com.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.